إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and welcome to Ummah Radio. My name is Ubaidullah Ibrahim. Some people on the radio may know me as Abu Mus'ab, and tonight inshallah we are wanting to start a kitab which I've been looking very forward to. Over the years that we've been having these classes on Ummah Radio, there were many classes that we had done. We had touched a little bit on Al-Hidayah, we had touched a little bit on Bada'i'u Sana'i, we had did the entire kitab Nurul Idah, and while we were still busy with Nurul Idah, I was looking forward to having started this kitab here. So it has been a while that this kitab has been in the planning to start on the radio. Amongst the kitabs which have been authored throughout the years, tonight inshallah what we are going to be doing here is only just simply the introduction to this kitab, because before you can begin a kitab you need to know what is the name of the kitab, who is the author of the kitab, what is the reason behind why the book was written, and what does the author want from you through this book. These are the normal questions that you ask before you pick up a book, because anybody can pick up a book and read it, but of those who pick up books and read it, not everyone can understand it, and of those who can pick up a book and read and understand, less are those who know which books to pick up and read in order to understand it. So amongst the kitabs, there are great kitabs which have been written throughout the ages, but in my opinion the magnum opus of the Hanafi madhab is this kitab which we are about to begin. It is known as Sunan of Moulana Zafar, Ahmad, Uthmani, Thanvi, Rahimahullaah. We will come a little bit as we go along who he was and things of that nature. Why? Somebody asked me the question that why this kitab in particular, because this is an extremely high level kitab. It is not a kitab which is taught normally. Even in the regular madaris, you go and you qualify, do your alim course and everything, and most Darul Ulums would not even touch upon this kitab at all. Those who do happen to do this kitab will be those who are in the specialist Darul Ulums where they are focusing on ifta, on fiqh, so they would come to a kitab like Sunan. So why such a high level kitab for a class which generally is to a mixed audience? Because there's people from around the world listening to the class, male and female, young and old, lay people and ulama both. So why such a kitab? The reason is for this very reason that it is such an extremely high level kitab, because there are the primers and people generally know the primers, but the reason why I chose this kitab was because this kitab was written for this very time. So now we come to, before we'll go into the author and stuff like this, let us look at what this kitab is about. This is a book of Hanafi fiqh, and the reason why this kitab was written was because at the time in Moulana Zafar Ahmad Uthmani Thanvi, who was the nephew of the famous Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, Rahimahullaah, and at the time Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, he had begun writing a kitab where he wanted to write the Hanafi madhab, the proofs of the Hanafi madhab in an easy to read form. But the first time, and he got lost and whatever, and so 2 or 3 times he attempted to write the kitab, but for whatever reason Allah had decreed that it never went ahead. It was sent to the publisher and lost along the way. So his kitab never ended up being published. So he instructed his nephew Moulana Zafar Ahmad to write a kitab which will contain all the as you can say, the rules of the madhab, but more importantly with the dalil of the madhab. And why I chose this kitab is for this reason. At the time in India when this kitab was written, it was written in response to a group which had come about at the time, who came to be known as the Ahli Hadith, as they call themselves, LEDs. And they had a special hatred and enmity for the Hanafi madhab. for Imam Abu Hanifa Rahimahullah himself. They would make up lies and false stories, and even up till this very day, the Ahli Hadith, as they call themselves in India, Pakistan, they still stick to these same type of opinions and beliefs, which are absolutely baseless lies, to put it in simple, straightforward terms. They would now, up till this very day, people who follow from the Salafi side of the world as well, you find people like Abu Usama al-Dhahabi and others like that, who made statements like, Imam Abu Hanifa, okay, he didn't know much hadith, maybe he knew like 5 hadith, but at least he knew those 5. They make these type of derogatory remarks with regards to the great A'immah. And generally what is thought about the Hanafis of the world is that, number one, the Hanafi madhab has got no real dalil. It's a madhab which is based on opinion. This is the lie which is promoted and propagated by the Ahli Hadith and then by many Salafis as well. So therefore I chose this kitab, because this kitab brings the ruling of the Hanafi madhab with the dalil, and not the dalil which is somebody's opinion, rather it is the dalil from hadith. And then the next thing which pops up, the next question, or the objection I should say, is that people will come along, Salafis now, and the Ahli Hadith, their cousin Ahli Hadith, and they will say that the hadith which you are quoting here as proof is not authentic. That's normally the first line of defense. But this kitab, what sets it apart from all other kitabs is the fact that it is written with the hadith, and not what Imam so and so of the Hanafi madhab said about the hadith. This kitab, the gradings of the ahadith taken in this kitab is from the famous muhaddithin. For example, Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani Rahimahullah graded the hadith as such. Imam Dhahabi Rahimahullah said this with regards to it. Hafiz al-Iraqi, he graded the sanad as being authentic. Things of this nature. Big names. Not I feel so, or I say it's authentic. Who am I? I'm a nobody. So nothing of that sort. So it's not a matter of a Hanafi is bringing a Hanafi to prove a Hanafi madhab. So it's not some biased sort of kitab. It is a kitab which is deeply rooted in fact, deeply found within the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Till today, you will find many people, they will make these sort of claims with regards to the Hanafi madhab, that the Hanafi madhab is based on opinion. There is no dalil for the Hanafi madhab. If the Hanafis fold their hands beneath their navel, then these people will come along and say, you don't have dalil. The proper way is to fold it on the chest, or fold it on wherever they decide to fold it, whatever their viewpoint may be. But the Hanafi madhab, when we say you fold your hands beneath your navel in salah, then we have the dalil from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, who taught it to their students, from the Sahaba to the Tabi'een, Atba'u Tabi'een, the Salaf, the Khalaf, right down, an unbroken chain, solid from any person of today right up until the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is the thing which sets the madhahib apart from غير مقلدين. Because a غير مقلد, his chain, if we were to deal in the topic of hadith, if we were to put this chains as a hadith chain, then I narrate from my ustad, who narrate from his teacher, from his teacher, from his teacher, and there's an unbroken chain all the way up. We'll go through Imam Abu Hanifa, who will go to Imam Ahmad and his teachers right up till Hadrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, who takes it from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who, for example, would get it maybe from Jibreel alayhi salam, who was instructed with it by Allah. One way a chain. Compared to the Salafi, the Ahli Hadith, the Ghayr Muqallid, whatever he calls himself by, where he takes his opinion from Sheikh Fulan, whether it be Sheikh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz, whether it be Albani, whether it be Sheikh Ibn Abdul Wahhab, whoever it may be. And then all of a sudden the viewpoint, it ends. There's no one above him. Sheikh Albani comes along and he say, I feel that you should stand foot to foot in Salah. For example, 1400 years of Islam has gone by and nobody stood foot to foot in Salah. All of a sudden it becomes, as per the agenda that they push, that standing foot to foot in Salah is suddenly Sunnah. Not based on fact, but based on a misinterpretation of a hadith. So it's very easy to bamboozle the normal ignorant masses by telling them that this is from a hadith, that is from the hadith. Look, I quote you a hadith and you want to quote me your sheikh's qiyas. And that's the lie that they put out to fool the masses. They pull the wool over the eyes of the unsuspecting public, who now say, you know what, he did quote me a hadith and you quoting me sheikh so and so. But yeah, in this case, the view of Imam Abu Hanifa, or the view of Imam al-Marghinani, or the view of Imam al-Kasani, or the view of Imam al-Sarakhsi, the view of Imam ibn Abidin, the view of Imam al-Tahawi, these are the views which matter. They are the ones who understood the hadith. They are the ones who had the chain for that hadith. They are the ones who narrated that hadith. And you who give your own twist, your own spin to the hadith, you are the one who don't understand it. But this, in a field when you're speaking amongst lay people, it's very easy to fool the masses because they don't know what right from wrong. They don't know the weak chain from the strong chain. It's very easy to say that chain is not authentic, that is not authentic, and the man no better. So he considers you to be some great alim and he takes whatever it is that you tell him. So this is how, and this movement, this Salafi movement has grown and grown and grown to such a degree that people, you actually find people who Hanafis, who find themselves inclining towards Salafism. Why? Because they never studied their own madhab properly. There is no person who studied the Hanafi madhab with all its dalil properly who ends up being a following to the غير مقلد way, to leave a madhab and end up following his own way, make his own route as he goes through life. That is like saying you have a Muslim and he becomes a murtad. Any person who was once a Muslim and ends up leaving Islam was because he did not have iman in his heart from the word go. He always had a creeping niggling of kufr within him, and that is why he could end up leaving Islam and going to kufr. So in a like manner, nobody can study the madhab properly and then end up leaving it. You have today, unfortunately, where a person would go, maybe for example, to a Darul Ulum, he'll sit there and maybe he just blends into the background, and he's 6-7 years passes by and he comes out and he's called Moulana so and so. He don't know the dalil of the madhab. You ask him, why do you do this? He can't give you an answer. You ask him that, he can't give an answer. Then the man goes and he asks the Salafi, and the Salafi quote him a hadith, and all of a sudden it's like this Hanafi don't know what he's talking about. Here the Salafi has the answer, and this is what has led this great amount of people to fall towards Salafism and غير مقلدية, this type of method. And it was with this in mind that this kitab I'ala Sunan was written, to refute all of that, to bring the Hanafi madhab back to the fore, to show that, you know, it's not to prove, oh, I'm right, my madhab is right, your madhab is wrong. It was never a thing like that. It was to dispel the lies, to show that this madhab is based 100% upon the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not the opinion, like some people like to claim, the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa Rahimahullaah himself, his view does not constitute the fatwa of the madhab. Perhaps Imam Abu Hanifa, and this happens many a time, Imam Abu Hanifa would have one opinion, and then the students of Imam Abu Hanifa, their view differs, and the fatwa of the madhab, the school of Imam Abu Hanifa, is on the viewpoint of, for example, Imam Muhammad and Imam Abu Yusuf Rahimahullaah. And this is how it is. So it's a very deep kitab, very high level, but the way I plan on teaching this kitab, inshallah, is to make it easy enough for the layman to understand while being deep enough for the alim to understand and benefit from. And I invite and would urge at least everyone who's a غير مقلد to attend the classes as well, because 99.99% of the time there is no person who is anti the Hanafi madhab, or rather, let me just put it one way, that is 100% of the time there is no person who is anti the Hanafi madhab or feel that Imam Abu Hanifa and the Hanafi ulama had no knowledge of hadith and things like this, but that opinion of his is born out of ignorance. So what I'd like to do in this class over here is, as we do the lessons, you'll see the ahadith, why the Hanafi madhab say we do it this way, and you'll see what the grading that the fuqaha and the muhaddithin have given to these ahadith. the chains of narration, who are the people inside it, and all of those sort of stuff like that there. So this kitab, even though it is primarily a fiqh kitab, but it is also a kitab which will teach you numerous ahadith. So you'll be doing fiqh, you'll be doing hadith, and as we go along you will also be learning mustalahul hadith or usulul hadith as well. So the science, the terminologies of hadith. Obviously what we'll do in this kitab is not sufficient to cover you from the field of mustalahul hadith. For that we had done a previous kitab, muqaddimatun fi usulil hadith, previously on the radio, and inshallah we can redo that kitab at a later stage if anybody else is interested. And furthermore, from this kitab you will also learn usulul fiqh, that principles of the madhab. You will learn all of these sort of things at one time in one class. So don't be put off and think, oh, it's so difficult, the kitab sounds so hard, it's never been translated, it's always been in Arabic, and stuff like this. And what puts also people back is the fact that it is a 20-volume kitab, a kitab which spans thousands of pages, not something that is 20 chapters or 20 pages, but 20 volumes, a massive kitab. When I mentioned earlier that it is the magnum opus of the Hanafi madhab, in my opinion, that is not to say that the Hanafi madhab has got no kitabs which are great. Quite the contrary, there are many great kitabs. You have Al-Hidayah of Imam al-Marghinani rahimahullah, you have Al-Mabsut of Imam al-Sarakhsi rahimahullah, you have Bada'i' al-Sana'i of Imam al-Kasani rahimahullah, you have Nurul Idah of Imam al-Shirun Bulali rahimahullah. You can go on naming the different kitabs. Fathul Qadir of Imam Ibn al-Humam. You've got all of these kitabs of the Hanafi madhab, great in their own right. But this kitab is in a different field altogether. The difference between the two is that Al-Hidayah, Bada'i' al-Sana'i, Radd al-Muhtar, all of these kitabs were written with the ulama in mind. There was never a time in history, the Islamic history, when lay people ever had a say in dini matters the way it is today. Today, a man who don't know nothing, he can't tell his head from his elbow, but he wants to speak on matters of deen too. A person comes, he reads something in English, an English translation of a hadith, and he starts passing judgment. Or he listens to some lecture and then he starts declaring people to be murtad and kafir and deviant and what all and what not. This is the reality of the world that we live in today. So those kitabs, Al-Hidayah and all of those, they were written with ulama in mind, that an alim who understands, who's got the knowledge, who has studied, he looks at Hidayah, and Hidayah now becomes a reference book for him. If he wants to know what is the fatwa of the madhab on this particular topic, it's a simple matter of opening it up and there you go. Because things tend to slip your mind, so you need a reminder, and that is what Hidayah and those kitabs were there for. And when they used to give dalil, their dalil used to be mainly aqli dalil, from the point of logical proofs used to be given behind rulings, because it was assumed that because you are reading this kitab, you are an alim, so therefore you already have the proofs from the Quran and Sunnah. Otherwise, what are you doing reading this kitab here in the first place? So that is why that kitab those type of kitabs were written. Now a layman comes along and he look at the kitab like this and he's like, but there's no dalil, it's only opinion. And that is how this concept, this lie, was promoted throughout the recent years, that the Hanafi madhab is based on opinion. This kitab is different to all of that, as I mentioned, where you will come across a hadith, and that hadith is the basis for a particular ruling, and then it will be explained that the hadith will be given, and then you can see the ruling which is derived from it, which any person, if you have two brain cells to rub together, you understand what is going on here. What is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying? So you say, okay, fine, that's good, but now, is this narration authentic, yes or no? That is where the next point lies. And then Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, he will now come and he'll quote, and he'll say that this hadith over here, it's reported in this particular place. Imam Bukhari reports it, Imam Al-Hakim reports it in his Mustadrak, it's reported in the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, it's reported year and year, Shu'abul Iman of Imam Al-Bayhaqi, Al-Mu'jam al-Awsat of Imam al-Tabarani, so on and so forth, the various books of hadith. And then he don't stop there. Then he'll go on to the point that Imam so-and-so, Hafiz al-Iraqi, Imam, this muhaddith and that muhaddith, he graded this this chain of narration as being authentic. This person in the chain who heard from that person, did he really hear from him? Didn't he hear from him? All of those type of things are touched upon. So at the end of the day, when a person of knowledge, when you look at this and you see that here's the proof of the Hanafi madhab, you have to take your hat off, and you can't say no, it's not authentic. It will prove to you, like Imam Malik Rahimahullaah said with regards to Imam Abu Hanifa, that if this man were to tell you that this pillar is gold, he would prove to you that this pillar is gold. And that is the extent of the proof that the kitab gives, that this madhab is not based on one man's opinion. This madhab is not based on opinion at all. It is a kitab which is firmly rooted in Quran and Sunnah. Today people say, I don't follow a madhab, I follow Quran and Sunnah. I tell you, it's quite the contrary. You follow a madhab, you are following Quran and Sunnah. That is the one and only way you can be certain that you are following Quran and Sunnah. Every person nowadays wants to be his own mujtahid. He makes up his own laws, he makes up his own rulings and his own gradings and everything as I feel fit. That's how it is. I feel it is like this, I feel it is like that, and they give their own verdicts on things, and 99% of the time they are mistaken. So if you stick to what is established in the deen, the solid unbroken chain which you can trace right up to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like I say, from student to teacher to teacher to teacher, right up to the tabi'een, to the sahaba, to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you've got no problems, you've got no qualms. It's not that 400 years ago someone came along, he make up a new opinion and he can't prove it. If there's a view within the madhab, you will see that it will be said, Imam so and so said so, who heard it from so and so, and that is how it has gone up, how it has reached us through 1,400 years. That is how the deen has come to us. Now you have a man and he makes something up all of his own, just there on the spot, he feels it, he reads a when you come across the ahadith in the old India prints, the Deoband Maktaba Millat Deoband prints of the kitabs, the word or the name Al-Bukhari is, if you look at it wrong, it can look like Najjari, the way it's written. Bukhari, Najjari, because of the dots. Now a man comes along and he looks at the thing and he say Rawahun Najjari, the narration is reported by An-Najjari. If the hadith really reported by An-Najjari, is there even a person called An-Najjari? No. The fact of the matter is that this man didn't know what he was reading, so he made up his own thing based on a misunderstanding of things. And that is what this kitab seeks to clarify, that this madhab is a madhab of haqq. It is the first madhab. It is the madhab of Imam al-A'zam, Imam Abu Hanifa Rahimahullah. We are not sitting here tonight to discuss the greatness of Imam Abu Hanifa Rahimahullah, or to discuss the greatness of the Hanafi madhab, or the greatness of the ulama of the Hanafi madhab, because each one of those things require its own separate chapter, its own separate class, for that very reason, because each one of them were giants and shining stars in their own right. And it would be a great disservice to shrink their biographies into a small little introductive lecture like this here tonight. So that is there. We are not going to deal. So we know that was the reason for the kitab being written. The other thing which I mentioned is, who is the author? It is Moulana Zafar Ahmad Uthmani Thanvi. He was the nephew, like I said, of Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahimahullah. And I explained the reason how he ended up writing this book. So what this kitab seeks to get from you, at least, is that when you read it, you understand that this is the dalil of my madhab. Or like I say, even if you are not a Hanafi, this kitab will benefit you regardless. If you are a Salafi, if you are an Ahli Hadith, if you are a Ghayr Muqallid, if whatever you want to call yourself, if you read this kitab, or you listen, because you can't read the kitab, and you listen and you see what the dalil of the Hanafi madhab is, you will have to get respect for the ulama of the madhab and the madhab itself, because you'll realize that what you thought to be the reality and what the real reality is, they are two very different things. So this is not a book which is here to, like I say, to run down any particular madhab, say my madhab is better than your madhab. Nothing of that sort. Like I said, there were great ulama throughout the ages, and As far as I am aware, there is no kitab from any of the four madhahib which is on par with I'la Sunan. Despite the fact that there are great kitabs, you have Al-Majmu' or Sharh al-Muhadhab, which is possibly, or at least in my opinion, the best and kitab that you can read on the Shafi'i madhab, written by Imam al-Nawawi Rahimahullaah. It's possibly the most referenced kitab in Shafi'i Fiqh. In Hanbali Fiqh, you can't go wrong with Al-Mughni of Imam Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi Rahimahullah. Great kitabs, you look at it and you don't want to put it down, so much benefit there is in it. But the way those kitabs were written, even though it's got dalil and proofs like that, very good, well and in its way. But where those kitabs differ from this one is that, for example, they would say this is the hadith which is used as dalil, and what I'la Sunan does different to that is the fact that it would say this is the hadith which is used as dalil, and this is what the muhaddithin have graded that particular hadith. So nobody can come along and lie or say that the Hanafi madhab is lying, or that this kitab is promoting false beliefs, or that this kitab is saying things which don't exist. Because every single thing which you will read in this kitab, if you don't trust it, by all means, the references will be given. It's just a matter of you. And we live in a digital age where Allah has made the deen so easy, so easy. How many people are sitting in their homes right now listening to this class? Other people are sitting in their cars and they can listen to this. Others are at work and they are able to listen to it. Some people may be even laying in their beds and they can listen to it. So easy. Allah has brought the deen to our doorsteps. We don't live in the age anymore where you have to travel 4,000 kilometers on a back of an animal, taking you 4 months to reach to a particular place, to learn one kitab under an alim, and then go off and learn by somebody else. We don't live in that age anymore. Allah has made the deen so easy. So you've got no excuse not to, to say, I can't study, I can't attend, it's difficult for me. You have no more excuses. Allah has made the deen easy. The problem lies with you. And before, one alimi made mention of a particular thing. He said that when you want something, you make a plan to do it. When there is, a person wants to do a particular thing, he wants to go to a particular place, he wants to, or in today's time, they want to watch this particular boxing match, or they want to watch this MMA thing, and then they will scour the internet, stay up 2 a.m. in the morning, scouring the internet to look for an illegal stream where they can stream this thing because they want to watch this particular thing. They give up their sleep, they give up their time, or others, they'll go and pay pay-per-view to watch this particular thing. So they have no qualms parting with their money when it comes to things like this. They have no qualms parting with their sleep. They'll take a day off work to be able to watch these sort of things, to attend a particular game, to go watch a particular movie. A new PlayStation comes out and a man stands in a queue from 3 a.m. in the morning, even though the shop is only opening up at 10, and he'll stand there in a queue with 4,000 other people, and they've got no qualms with that. They don't see it as a difficulty. It's, oh, the latest book is out, I'm there in the queue. But when it comes to deen, and then everybody's got this relaxed attitude, it's like, if I come and I make salah in my haphazard way, not knowing why I'm doing anything, and then it's like I might just get entry into Jannah. It's like I deserve it. I called myself a Muslim, even though I do what little I can do, and that's my ticket to Jannah. Really? When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to stand in salat, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's feet used to swell, and the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum used to say that, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are the Nabi of Allah, you are the one غُفِرَ لَكَ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. Even if you were to have committed a sin, Allah has forgiven every single last one of them. Past, present, future, every single last thing has been forgiven. Yet you stand like this in the salah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, "Afala akuna abadan shakura? Should I not be a thankful slave?" This was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam making an effort. We make no effort, but we want to be there, Jannatul Firdaus, the neighbors of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and everything, and we don't even want to live properly like Muslims. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made mention of this hadith طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم, that the seeking of knowledge is an obligation upon every single Muslim, male and female. And this knowledge which is referred to here is knowledge of the deen. It is not mathematics, it is not 1 + 1, it's not trigonometry, it's not geography or biology or any of these type of things. It's not learning how to drive a car or how to fly a plane or what is a flat and a star screwdriver. That's not what is being meant by talabul ilm, the seeking of knowledge. What is meant here is talabul ilmi deen, seeking the knowledge of the deen. And this is not, it's not saying talabul ilmi sunnatun li kulli muslim. It's not saying that seeking the knowledge is a sunnah or it's an optional thing for whoever wants to. Rather, it is an obligation. Like how it is fard for you to make salah, it is fard for you to know the laws with regards to how to perform the salah, how to perform your wudu. Certain laws of the deen, it is fard upon you to know as well. Because if you don't know it, Allah will question you with regards to it. But yet, people don't study, people don't want to take that little bit of effort, that little bit to say, I'll take out an hour at night, or I'll take out half an hour a day to learn something about the deen from genuine sources, not from every Tom, Paul and Harry. Because every Tom, Paul and Harry has his own opinion, like I say, and so you go and you learn by Allama Google, and Allama Google got the answers to everything, but the answers given by Allama Google is not necessarily always correct. So what is more important is that you learn the deen. Like I mentioned earlier, not everybody who opens a book and reads it is able to understand it, and few of those who can read and understand is knowing which books to read. So knowing where to get the knowledge of the deen from is more important than just going out and saying I'm going to seek deeni knowledge, because you may end up at the door of some deviant and he teaches you how to worship a grave rather than how to worship Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So I've gone on a bit too much and I've digressed from the topic of this book itself. So let us get back to where we are, what we are wanting at least back from this hadith, from this kitab. So this kitab's name is I'la'u Sunan. It's written by Moulana Zafar, Ahmad, Uthmani, Thanvi. This nephew, his mother was the sister of Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, Rahimahullaah. This kitab is 20 volumes in length, and there are an additional 2 volumes which have been added onto this kitab here. One is which is known as Fawaidu fi Ulum al-Fiqh, the benefits from the Ilm al-Fiqh, you know the fiqhi sciences. This kitab is also added to it is a book on Mustalah al-Hadith or Ulum al-Hadith, the Hadith terminologies and stuff like this here. Also attached to this kitab is Imam Abu Hanifa Rahimahullah wa ashabuhu al-muhaddithun, and the Imam Abu Hanifa and his companions, those muhaddithin. There's a volume which is for them as well. So this kitab is jam-packed from start to end, 22 volumes of pure gold. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do this entire kitab because I will probably die before we end up completing this kitab. So many pages there are, especially if we're doing this kitab once a week, every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. BST or 9 p.m. South African time. So how much can you do in one class of an hour? Very little, especially when you talk about having maybe 4, maybe 5 classes a month. It's really a little in the greater scheme of things. So when you're talking about a kitab of thousands and thousands of pages, we'll never really, we make dua that Allah accepts it from us and makes it that we get benefit from whatever it is that we learn from this kitab, and we ask that Allah lets us finish a great portion of this kitab, that which can benefit us, so that we can learn that which is obligatory upon us, so that we can not only learn it and store it away on our shelves, but so that we can learn it and bring it into practice and thereafter promote it and propagate it to others as well. So that is what the goal is of this kitab. We are not here to pass the time, to I got nothing better to do with my time, so let me sit and listen to a class. That's not why we are here. Neither are we here to say, oh, I learned something, I know more than other people, I can go show off my knowledge amongst others. We're not here for that either. We are here so that we can understand the deen of Allah. We can know what are the proofs why we do it. For the normal man in the street, that an alim tells you, when you stand in your salah, you fold your hands beneath your navel. When you go into sajda, your hands are like this, you keep in this position, your toes are bent and stuff. That should be sufficient for the normal man in the street, and that is in fact how it should be. But unfortunately, like I say, because we live in this time where people are not satisfied with that, where you'd come to an alim and you'd ask him and then he'd give you an answer, and then you have many people who are dissatisfied with the answer, and it's like, but what's your dalil? A man who don't know right from left, but he wants to know what is your dalil. So here we are doing with dalil, inshallah. So you can see, if we say that this is how it is, then you will see with dalil why it is in this manner. What has Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said? What has the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum said? What have the Salaf said with regards to it? Then you're never going to go wrong where dalil is concerned. And like I say, to all the Ghair Muqallideen, Salafis, Ahli Hadith, stop your attacks on the Hanafi madhab. Stop your attacks on Imam Abu Hanifa, because if you learn the Hanafi madhab, if you study this kitab, don't take it from me. In fact, don't learn the kitab by me. If you want to, the kitab is available online. You can go to Ummah forum, you will see the download link for the kitab. In the Ummah radio subsection, you'll see a sticky thread called I'la Sunan, Tuesday night. The whole 22 volumes is there. Download it, read it on your own, take it to somebody who you trust, let him read and translate it for you. See if what I say from the kitab is different to what is actually written in the kitab, and go check up the references and see if what Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi has mentioned in here, if it is contrary to what is actually mentioned in those references. See if what he says is wrong, or if what you have been assuming is wrong, if your assumptions are the things which are really wrong. So this kitab, it is a very great kitab. There is so much, that if you just open volume 1 of this kitab here, it starts out with firstly the praises of Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda. Those who know who Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda Rahimahullaah is, they know him. Those who don't know, you can Google him, his biography, and you may even find some of his lectures and works available online. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda, he lived during the time of Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, and this kitab I'la Sunan is just over 100 years old. So it is a kitab of modern years, but it is comparable to any of the classical kitabs of old. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda, when he commented on this kitab, he said it is without doubt the greatest kitab which has been written in recent times. And he wasn't the biased person to say it just because Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi was a Hanafi and stuff like this, but rather Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda, he had interaction with all the ulama of different madhahib and stuff like this here, and of all the kitabs authored in recent times, there is nothing which is which encompasses the deen as much as this, and which is as beneficial as this kitab known as I'la Sunan. So the whole beginning of the kitab is just the praises and the biography, the entire life history of Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi. But of course it begins with the teacher of Moulana Zafar Ahmad, which is his uncle Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahimahullaah. And those who know Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, he needs no introduction. And for those who don't know him, you can Google Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, and there are many of the ulama have written biographies available in English as well, and you can read more about him. And likewise on Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, you can read his biography online as well. Because if we were to do just the introduction part over here as to how the studies of Moulana Zafar Ahmad was, who was Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, we'd be sitting here for till the end of the year just doing the introduction. So therefore we're going to bypass all of that, and next week Tuesday inshallah we will begin from the very first chapter of the actual kitab itself. Moulana Zafar, just a bit about Moulana Zafar Ahmad himself. Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, he studied under many of the great ulama at the time. One of his teachers was Moulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri, who is the author of the famous kitab Badlul Majhood, the Sharh of Sunan Abu Dawood, which is a great Sharh. And this Moulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri was one of the teachers of Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi. Like I say, his uncle as well, Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, great alim as well. He was another one of his teachers. Many other teachers he had as well. And Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, he went and he studied under the ulama in Mazahirul Ulum and all over, and he had completed and gotten his ijaza and his sanad at the time when he was only 18 years old. Normally at the time, ulama were in their 20s by the time they would come near, or rather I should say, many did not even reach this level that he had reached when he was 18 years old. And that was already, from that point you could see the brilliance, that the exceptional, what an exceptional student Moulana Zafar Ahmad was. He had, amongst all the other classes that he attended, the regular Darsi Nizami, Mishkat, Bukhari, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Nasai, Ibn Majah, Sahih Muslim, Imam Tahawi's kitab, the Muwatta of Imam Muhammad, all of those kitabs. He learnt Arabic, Urdu, Farsi, all of those languages as well. Even stuff like he learnt on logic, engineering, mathematics, even those things too he studied. And all of this was before he was 18 years old. After he qualified at this young age, Moulana Zafar Ahmad, he started teaching the deen as well, and this was in Saharanpur. Thereafter he moved to Tanabawan, which is where the name Thanvi comes from, which is Imdadul Ulum, and that is where he started teaching. And then he was teaching Fiqh and Tafsir and other stuff like this, and many ulama graduated under him, and so on and so forth. It was after that point that Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi now had given him this instruction that I want you to write this kitab which details all the proofs of the Hanafi madhab. Now this is an exceptional feat in its own right. We live in a digital age where if you pick up Google and you type in something and give you any hadith from 100,000 different hadith, from dozens and dozens of hadith books, everything, it's searchable online. You don't have to struggle to find things. If you want to know what Imam so and so said it, you can go to Lisanul, you can go to the At-Talkhis, you can go to this kitab or that kitab, Al-Jarh wa Ta'dil, you can go to any one of these kitabs, Al-Thiqat. You've got no shortage, At-Tahdhib Al-Tahdhib, you've got no shortage of the books of Jarh wa Ta'dil to go and you look under that person's name and find it. Moulana Zafar Ahmad didn't live in that age. He lived, like I say, this kitab was completed over 100 years ago. So he lived before, more than a century ago, when he lived, in a time when there weren't these nice fancy prints like we see today. There wasn't all these fancy printing presses that have it, nice clear fonts, nothing of the sort like that. Nor was it that there were this, you can just go and somebody's going to get it there for you, somebody's already typed it out. Nothing of this. So the amount of knowledge that Moulana Zafar had and the amount of research that he had placed into writing this kitab is phenomenal. You actually, if you have knowledge, then you realize what a feat this kitab is. For a person who don't understand, who don't have the knowledge, it's like, oh, okay, so he wrote a big book, like big deal. But when you have the knowledge, you know what a remarkable feat this kitab is. Especially if you can read and understand it, you can't get a better kitab than it, undoubtedly. So anyway, apart from this kitab, the Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi also instructed his nephew Moulana Zafar to write other kitabs, and he was writing this kitab while he was issuing fatwa at the time, and he was teaching his regular classes. It took Moulana Zafar 20 years to complete this kitab, I'la Sunan, a kitab of, at the time was 18 volumes, and then he added the additional extra 2. But originally the kitab itself was written in 18 volumes, or if we just say 20 volumes in 20 years. So which means in essence he wrote one of these thick volumes every year. If we sit today and we write a kitab with all this technology in front of us, we won't write a volume in a year. This was writing a volume from scratch. doing individual research from thousands of kitabs, manually going through page for page to reach a particular thing, to read about a particular narrator and stuff of this sort. It's not, it's all pre-written. I just have to click one thing on Maktaba Shamila and it comes up from all the books of Jarh wa Ta'dil. It wasn't like that. And yet, despite that, he managed to write this kitab, such epic proportions, in that short space of time. After this, Moulana Zafar Ahmad, he wrote this kitab, Inja'ul Watan an Izdira'i bil Imam al-Zaman, which was Inja'ul Watan an Izdira'i bil Imam al-Zaman, which was regarding a biography of Imam Abu Hanifa, Rahimahullaah, Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Muhammad, and the students of the Hanafi madhab. And that was that. Then he another kitab which he wrote was Dalailul Quran ala Masail Nu'man, which is written similar to like how Imam Al-Jassas Rahimahullah, he wrote his kitab Ahkamul Quran, and that kitab was again compiled in 2 massive volumes. That is just, if that was the only thing which Moulana Zafar Ahmad had done in his life, then that would have been a great feat. But that was not all. Apart from that, he wrote kitabs in Urdu and others as well. Al-Qawl al-Mateen fi al-Ikhfa'i bi Amin, Shaq al-Ghayn an Haqqi Rafi al-Yadayn. Many other kitabs which is also written by Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi. After this, and after he had written all of these kitabs and he was teaching everything, thereafter Moulana Zafar Ahmad, he moved to Madrasa Muhammadiyah, which was in present day in Burma, and he stayed there for 2 years teaching, lecturing, giving the Jumu'ah lectures and other classes and stuff like this here. After that, he returned back to Tanabawun and he continued writing that kitab which I mentioned earlier, which was Dalailul Quran, again resuming his fatwa and his classes and stuff. Then he traveled to Bangladesh. Obviously, at the time, Bangladesh was not formed, or rather, I should say, it wasn't broken away and called Bangladesh. It was still India before, because there was not even Pakistan at the time. So anyway, there he was in Madrasa Aliyah, and he remained there for another 8 years. Then, while he was there, he founded another madrasa, teaching high-level Arabic, Quran, Hadith, Fiqh, and everything. And so he continued onwards, feat after feat, and even when he was at a late old age and weak health, he was ill at the time and stuff, and yet whenever Moulana Zafar, he used to say that whenever he feel that his illness is getting worse, he would increase his teaching of Sahih al-Bukhari, and he say that the reason why he does it is so that Allah make this teaching of his a means to cure his illness. So despite the illness and the weakness that he had at the time because of his old age, he still continued. And Moulana Zafar Ahmad, his knowledge and his works was not restricted only just to his kitabs and his teaching and his fatwa and his lectures and his classes, but he would also be engaged in his salah and his adhkar, and he was always busy in the worship of Allah. If I were to put it in simple terms, that's how he lived his entire life. Kama nahzibuhu wallahu hasibuhu. And this is how he lived, and teaching and everything, right up until the time when he passed away in the year 1974, which, like I say, if you really look at it, that was now the other day. Some people who was listening, you were born already in 1974. Some people were already adults at the time in 1974. So it's not an impossible feat. This is, sometimes a person listens to the biographies, you listen to the feat which the fuqaha of the past had done. When you think Imam Abu Hanifa stood in Salah whole night with the wudu of Isha, he would perform Fajr with the wudu of Isha because he had spent the entire night in Ibadah. You hear that Imam Shafi'i read the Quran in one night. You hear that this Imam, he had done this and that. and you say, they lived 1,000 years ago, it was a different time. No, Ya Allah has shown that even in these late times that we live in, nothing is impossible. If you make the deen of Allah your concern, then Allah will take care of all your other concerns. And that is especially true in the case of Moulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi. He had spent his life for the service of the deen, and till the end of time he will be remembered through this kitab of his. And by us doing this kitab, it is a means of isala thawab, it is a means of sadaqah jariyah, that whenever we read one word, we benefit one letter from this kitab, then that is something which falls in the scale of good deeds of Moulana Zafar Ahmad, and of course in the scales of Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi as well, having been the reason for Moulana Zafar having authored this kitab. So great ulama were involved in this kitab, great ulama benefited from this kitab, and there is no person, like I say, who can read this kitab and not benefit. Even if you are a Shafi'i or a Maliki or a Hanbali and you are a person of knowledge, then this kitab can benefit you, no question about it. But I'm not advocating that now if you're a Shafi'i, leave your madhab and become a Hanafi. No, not at all. You study your Shafi'i madhab, Maliki study their madhab, Hanbali study their madhab, well and good, no question, no problem with that. But for Hanafi, this is a kitab which you absolutely cannot do without. Unfortunately, I'm unable to do justice to this kitab, or even do justice to an introduction to this kitab, because no matter what you can say about this kitab, it is not enough to give off what a great kitab it really is. So if I were to speak about, I gave a little bit about Moulana Zafar Ahmad, and like I say, if you want to really read about him, you can read his entire biography online, because if we sit just on the biography, we'd sit here for the next 3 weeks, but we will leave it at that point over there. We will start the kitab. Let me see, which page is it here? According to this print, which I have posted a link to on Ummah forum, I'Ala Sunan, volume 1, page 36 is where the first chapter, Kitab al-Tahara, the chapter of Tahara, of purification, starts from. Abwab al-Wudu, the chapters with regards to Wudu, and that is what we will begin with next Tuesday, inshallah, at 9 p.m. South African time, 8 p.m. British summer time. And if you live in another part of the world, you can just do the conversions where time is concerned to suit your particular country. But that's where we will stop off for tonight, inshallah. Like I say, I have been unable to justice to an introduction to this kitab. You may have listened and say, you spoke for nearly an hour over here. You haven't done anything to catch my attention, to make me want to study this kitab and stuff like this here. In that case, it is the shortage which is from my side, and definitely not the shortage from the kitab itself or from its author, Moulana Zafar Ahmad, Rahimahullaah. So therefore, if you found that my introduction tonight was weak, I ask you that don't lose hope just yet. Attend the next class next Tuesday, inshallah. Like I say, same time, same place, 9 p.m. South African time, 8 p.m. British summer time, where we start the first class from this kitab, and then you can make up your mind. After you see the dalil from the book itself, then you can make up your mind and you say, is this the kitab that I can do without? Can I afford to bypass it because I feel it's unnecessary in my life? So we'll see you again, hopefully next Tuesday, inshallah, same time here on Ummah Radio at 9 p.m. South African time, 8 p.m. UK time. Oh, before we go any further, the way we do this class, everything is always live. So if at any time during the class that we are doing it, you have any questions with regards to anything which has been done, which is being done in the class anyway, you are free to send a message on Skype. for those who have Skype. The Skype name for this is Ummah Radio. UMMAHRADIO, one word. You type it in your Skype and it will give you the Ummah Radio account. Add it as a friend and you can send your questions there during the duration of the class. If you happen to be listening to a recording, or maybe you don't have Skype and you want to ask a question later on, those who happen to have my number on WhatsApp, you are free to send me a message on WhatsApp and I will address the question during the next class, inshallah. Alternatively, because this class is being done through Ummah Forum, this is Ummah Radio attached to Ummah Forum, so you will see that thread which I said is in the Ummah Radio subsection, the sticky thread called I'Aw Sunan. You can go pose your questions in there, and inshallah when we do the next class I will address those questions. Wabillahi tawfiq. And like I say, we'll stop on this point here, inshallah. For those who are unable to attend, because there have been people who mentioned that because they live in other time zones where the timing is very much difficult for them, because it may be evening over here and in the UK, but in other places it may be like 3 a.m. or it may be during their salah time or during the time when they are at work and they're not allowed to be anywhere near a phone or stuff. So therefore, in the cases of those people, or if you happen to be attending the classes and for some reason you couldn't make it, all the classes will be recorded, inshallah, and it will be placed on the Ummah Radio YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and you type in Ummah Radio channel and it will be the first result that normally comes up. The previous recording of other classes and stuff is also put on that channel there as well. So at any time you can always refer if there was something you needed to revise. The recordings are there, and if you don't want to revise and you just wanted to query it, like I say, you can send in your question via Skype, you can send in your questions via the forum, you can even send your questions directly to me on WhatsApp, whichever the case may be, and inshallah in our next class it will be clarified. But until that time, we will end for tonight and we will continue again next Tuesday, inshallah. Wa sallallahu wa sallama wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.